Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream we work on building Django apps, getting them deployed out, doing real project stuff. We're going to continue on a migration from Heroku to DigitalOcean for one of my projects, which is a journaling application. We've been, as you can see from this issue, stepping through a lot of things to make this change ready to go. We are getting toward the end. I'm hoping, I'm looking at the clock, there's a possibility that I get all of this done tonight. That would be awesome, and then we can move on to other stuff. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's a bunch of stuff left to do still. Hey, John, welcome. So where we're at, Sir SR, why did I move from Heroku? Why am I planning to move from Heroku? There are probably a handful of reasons. One is I started to. There's a cost aspect, and maybe that was a primary driver. I don't know. I got into looking at this tool called Kamal, and it wasn't just this tool, but it was the inspiration around this tool that was driving me to think like maybe I should have more control over the services that I'm running, and what can I do to actually make it as operationally cheap as I can. That not being the primary goal, but also having a system that I have more ownership of and knowledge of how it operates. Heroku's great. It's a good platform as a service. Not going to knock it from that respect. But it does depend on a certain configuration. There's certain expectations about it. And I just wanted the ability to do more stuff. There were things that I couldn't do easily without incurring additional costs as well, like setting up persistent background jobs as one simple example. I was doing a bunch of hackery using like essentially cron jobs to get the same thing and keep costs super low. So I'm moving to this setup where I get the ability to do that all in one single DigitalOcean droplet. So that's sort of the motivation. The other part about that is I got sick and tired of like my apps do not have a ton of data in them. They aren't super heavily used applications, but they are heavily used by the people that use them. So it's like not wide, but deep for the folks that use them, like myself. This journaling app, I use it every day, and I want it to stay operational. But that means that the data in my actual database was very, very small in the scheme of things. On the order of, well, we're actually going to hopefully find out tonight. My other project was only about 35 megabytes, and what I was paying Heroku, like $10 a month to store that database, and just like, this is insane. That's the most expensive 35 megabytes that I was maintaining. So I moved it all SQLite on a different project, and we're going to do the same thing here today. So let's get to it. We're going to finish the setup of Kamal. Last time we started a DigitalOcean droplet. We did the hardening of it so that it is sufficiently locked down and updated and is a good target for our stuff now. In fact, I've got the configuration file up here. Take a look at it. This is the IP address we set up. Essentially, well, DigitalOcean calls them reserved IPs. AWS would call this an elastic IP, but an IP address that can move if or stay the same even if my droplet were to move. So if I needed to move the thing, I could do that and keep this address the same and can keep the configuration the same. But we didn't actually deploy anything. In fact, we haven't even made an image that will go up to the registry where we're going to store the actual Docker image that will be the thing that gets installed on the machine. So we've just kind of walked through all the motions and configured everything, but we still haven't even proven that this will work. So I think where we're at now is I need to check on the Kamal version. Oops. So we're right out of the gate. We've got things we got to do. So no version is set for local command Kamal. Why is that? Is that because, let's take a look. Can't remember if I've got a tools file. Which Kamal? What are you trying? Okay, so looks like I installed Kamal through ASDF, and there is no ASDF file equivalent for this project, but there should be one for the homeschool project. So if we look over here, homeschool project, because the other thing that I did the same process, but I did it offline for this, and you can see this tool versions file. This is because I have to manage Ruby in order to use Kamal. It's just a side effect of the tool that I chose to deploy, and I'm okay with that. So if we take a look here at what this tool versions file has in it, it has a reference to Ruby 3.3.4. What we're going to do is start by copying over the homeschool tool versions into this directory here. So now we're saying that the journal application is going to use ASDF, and that ASDF is a programming language management tool. So if you have to use Ruby or Python or Go or whatever else, you can like configure that using this tool versions thing, and it will get the language for you. So now, if I run Kamal version, with any luck, it'll detect the tool versions file and just be like, oh, you want to use that one? Cool. And so we can see that we're on 2.3.0. Let me go ahead and commit that as its own change. Add tool versions to use ASDF. That's the tool itself. And we should be ready to go at this point. So what do we have to do? The Kamal documentation gives you an explanation of what is required. And I think we can get, there should be like a, is it this? We've already set up everything, so I think it should be ready. I think what's going to happen now is when I run the command, yeah, we're going to try and run this. I expect that this will fail at some stage along this process. The reason, well, there's a bunch of reasons. So let's just watch it and see how far it gets. So let's try Kamal setup. So it's trying to go in to the host, and it did that, and it gets an SSH. It does that via SSH, which I've already set up. And it's looking immediately for Docker. And all we did last time on the DigitalOcean Droplet was set up the actual machine to have a key in there so that we could connect to it. We upgraded some packages, but we didn't do anything else. So the way that Kamal works is it expects you to be using Docker. So Docker is going to be a daemon process that is running on the machine, and it will be running containers, and our application will be in containers. So I'm going to now authorize to get the secrets out of my local configuration, which is going to pull from this. Oh boy. And we've got some stuff that we got to fix. Apparently I did not set everything. So there's some errors that we got. There's one thing. But we're going to keep letting it run and see what other stuff it has. So admin URL token path. Why is that? Maybe I named it wrong? That's possible. Email SendGrid reply to. Yeah, that's surprising. Both of those things I thought we added to the 1Password configuration. Maybe not. In which case, we're going to have to go get them from Heroku. So offline, I did a bunch of the configuration stuff to put my secrets into 1Password, which is going, like, Heroku does a lot of things for you. One thing it does for you is it manages secrets. So all of your API keys, everything that you need, it keeps them in a configuration section. And then when your application runs, it injects them into the application as environment variables. We actually are going to do something very similar with Kamal, but we have to get our secrets from somewhere. So 1Password, the 1Password client, is acting as our secret store. And so it was able to, I think the fact that it failed here, actually, let's go take a look while it's still running, because it's doing a bunch of building of the image, and it has to go get those things, and my internet down here is kind of slow, so it might take a little while to actually get all the bootstrapping stuff. So let's take a look while it's figuring that out and see what's going on. We've got a secrets file here, and I can tell, I think, well, maybe we haven't accessed this yet, so maybe it didn't hit this, but we've got this admin URL token path here, and then the email SendGrid reply to is here. So the fact that I only got 2 errors on that it's just those 2 that are the problem. So we gotta go check on those and figure out what's going on. And see, I could be that I named it a little wrong. or something happened. It looks correct to me, but it could be, now that I'm looking at it, it's probably reply to without an underscore here. But I'm not sure. Let's go figure it out. Unfortunately, that means I've got to log into Heroku, which is going to mean I'm going to have to put up my secret screen here for a minute and do some two-factor authentication and yada, yada, yada. And I got to log into 1Password stuff. We got to jump around to a bunch of places. Maybe what we start with, what should we, actually, before we even go there, let's take a look at what it's called in the settings file, and that might inform things immediately. Because there should be, hey, empty, thanks for subscribing. Or is it empty? Is that the user handle? Or is that my, that might be my streaming stuff not being configured right. So, or you could just have a really unique username. But what I'm looking, there's a send, should be a SendGrid setting. So there's the API key. What did we call it? Nope, that's not right. What was it complaining about? It was complaining about email SendGrid reply to. Email. Oh, maybe I copied something over that wasn't necessary. Got that hard-coded perhaps? Or admin, I could have sworn this part. Admin, admin URL, do you see it? URL path token. And I've got it token path. So we named the thing wrong. We must have named it wrong. Certainly down here. But I might have also named it wrong in 1Password. So that's one mistake. The other bit being, I really thought that was a setting that I had. Or maybe it's, okay, let's go look at there's a job that is actually doing the sending. So that should be